I wanted to pivot back to recruiting as Steve Wiltfong put in a crystal ball for Raleek Brown to Oklahoma. What do you think about that, man?
Well, that's huge. I mean, look, we talked about it, a podcast 2 ago? The fact that Raleek Brown is priority 1 for Oklahoma in the 2022 class. And next thing you know, the CBs start flowing in, especially from the Fong. I mean, you got to be feeling pretty good about where you're at if you're Lincoln Riley and the crew. But, look, Raleek Brown, again, my comp for him is Percy Harvin and Riley's system. I just think he's an elite athlete. And if you can put yourself in a strong position in the now, I mean, we're talking about this being in late February. Who knows how much more momentum you can build once spring practices start, once things really pick up in the summer, and then fall has yet to arrive. Bottom line here is they're laying a solid foundation to build sustained success in the recruitment of Raleek Brown, who, again, they have to land in 2022 for a number of different reasons. So this is huge for Oklahoma, whether or not he really values recruiting sites or not.
I think there's nothing to say but good stuff about it. The only thing that I can hear somebody saying is, hey, don't tell me about 2022 kids. Well, you would want to know. 1, you would want to know. 2, good news on the recruiting front in February, as I've said, hope springs eternal in February, okay? And if he's trending, I think he's 100% to Oklahoma right now. We're not just us putting in crystal balls, but the national guys putting in crystal balls, and this is all coming off of a really outstanding camp that he just had. But he's going to keep going through the process, and it'll be one thing if he decides to commit to Oklahoma, and then keeping him in the boat for another couple of years is always going to be a tough task. Just see Jace McClellan. As we're getting out of dead period, right? We're coming toward the end of dead period. We talked about Tumise Adelier needing to be a dude for Oklahoma. It seems like he's trending toward Florida right about now. But I am fascinated by the idea that we mentioned Caleb Williams and Travion Henderson joining the 2021 class, if they did, and what that might mean for Oklahoma going forward. But I wanted to bring this up to you. So I did this interview with Latrell McCutchin that is going to be on Insider by the time this podcast upload. But it's also this video where, we just talked. And one of the things that he gave me was this quote. I'm going to read it for you. It's about Texas and coming from the Austin area. And I was like, so where's Texas? He said, I'm not even considering him. He said, I just don't like them. A lot of people just think we grew up loving Texas. It's not really like that out here. In my recruitment, I can't really speak for anybody else, but I feel like Texas was sleeping on me. I mean, I lived 20 minutes away from the school, and I had an OU offer, an Alabama offer. I had all these different offers before I even got the UT offer, and I camped up there. I went up there to visit like 5 weeks in a row. So with me, UT, they don't really have a shot with me. Like, that's dead. They can take their offer back, to tell you the truth. Whew.
Sheesh.
Yeah. Latrell let him have it. Like, he came up with that of his own volition, right? We just chatting. And I was like, what? Yeah, seriously. I'm like, so what other schools are you considering? He's like, OU, Bama, Penn State, Va-Tech. And then he said, that's really it. I don't really like any of the Texas schools, to tell you the truth. Now, he kind of backed up off of the Texas schools bit because he's like, nah, A&M's all right. It's really just Texas.
Oh, my goodness.
I was dying. So I wanted to give that one to you and see what you thought about that one.
Tell us how you really feel, big man. I'm loving it. I mean, hey, look, I understand where he's coming from. I think everybody knows me. I'm from the state of Texas. And it's just been so incredibly intriguing to see UT basically fumble a lot of recruiting runs. I mean, it's become strange how, I don't want to say hated, but not liked they are by kids in Austin. It's brutal. Like, anytime I talk to a guy in that area, I'm asking them now, like, hey, what do you think about UT? Just assuming they'd be like, oh, well, I grew up on the school. And a lot of those dudes from that area are like, no, they're not really doing it for me because they're straight up giving me the cold shoulder. I'm like, well, Tommy H has got to wake up because he's got some dudes in his own backyard that are giving him the hate stick. But I mean, hey, that's brutal, man. You don't like it when kids feel that way about school, right? I mean, like, the recruiting process should be something fun. It should be something eye-opening. It's just an opportunity for these guys to make a big decision. And to be quite honest, grown people should be catering to the wants and needs of these young individuals. And so for him to feel that way about UT, I mean, first of all, props to him for putting that out there, because that is rough. But, I mean, it's also kind of sad, right? I mean, no matter how you feel as a fan or a media member about that particular school, it's just you never want to see a kid that cold-shouldered by a school in his own backyard. But that's the nature of the beast that we're facing right now.
Yeah, and that was where I ended up pivoting to, because, again, coming out of Austin area, he's committed to Alabama. He's part of their 3-member 21 class. He's been committed for some time, right? And he's coming off of an ACL injury, so he hasn't really played football in over a year. So that'll be interesting to watch how that continues to play out. He's visiting Oklahoma on March 1st. It's going to bring a buddy with him. But I'm with you. Yeah, on the one hand, you're giggling because how often is a kid this raw and honest with you, especially on tape?
Yeah.
Right? Especially on tape. And like I said, we're just chatting on a Sunday evening, and I'm just expecting to talk a little bit about Friday Night Tykes. What do you expect from Oklahoma? Gave me the no comment a couple of times on what it's going to take to flip him. And I said, all right, cool. And then this. So, just wild stuff over there, man. Just wild. Colin, is there anything else you wanted to touch on that we haven't?
I think that about does it for me. I'm sure we may do one of these again this week. You mentioned you've got that interview coming. I've got something coming up with Kelvin Gilliam out of the Virginia area.
Right on.
So stay tuned for both of those, because I'm going to tell you right now, OUinsider.com, we got it popping over there. So stay tuned all week. Let's be sure to talk some ball again.
Amen. As RJ Young, that's Colin Kennedy. Give him a follow on the Twitters at CKennedy247. That is CKennedy247. Colin, thanks, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Always appreciate you. Always fun.
All right, brother.